kiss for you.
Hello everyone, so today we're going to be talking about something quite interesting that at least I find quite interesting. Let me just go. So today, talking about Ford and their new patent that they kind of recently, and by recently I mean in May when I had this idea to talk about this, their recent patent for doing something pretty interesting with advertisements and billboard and kind of like the future of cars. Really what I want to talk about today is kind of the future of cars, especially with what Tesla's been doing recently. Sorry I've been away for a couple weeks there, had a bunch of things happen. Got wisdom teeth out and stuff. Still recovering from that, but I think we should be good now. And I want to get a video out before I go back to school on the 29th, so I just wanted to do that. And I have an xCloud video coming out a couple days from now. Hopefully I can get that recorded. I've been using it. I'll save my impressions and stuff for that video. And a bunch of other videos, kind of bigger projects I want to do when I get to more time. Ford recently, in May, have patented a technology that allows your vehicle's external cameras to detect and scan passing billboards and advertisements, route the data to whatever interior display or infotainment, and create an in-car advertisement for that billboard. Now, this was reported by a number of different features, and basically how it's supposed to work is this is a Ford car. As you can see, here's the screen. Basically, anytime you go past driving through that, if you had a billboard or something, it would blow that image up on your screen so you could see it more clearly. Now, there's two implications for this. One, it might be convenient if billboards are still being used, which I don't think they are. And two, it brings into, I think, the more important question that I want to talk about today, which is the future of cars and how much of them we really own. So the first thing people think about this is like, oh, this is awful because it's going to pop up advertisements that you don't necessarily want on your car and on your screen and stuff. And while, yes, that might technically be the case, that might occur in some Ford cars, it's only a patent at the moment, and patents typically mean that they don't end up coming to fruition for at least a while, and it's mostly just ideas and concepts that they're patenting. What I really want to talk about is that because they're able to do this stuff, it begs into question how much of the car we actually own. So this goes into the whole Tesla and their all over-the-air sort of updates and stuff, which is usually fine. But what the over-the-air updates and these kind of patents and stuff do is effectively create a system where you don't technically own your car. You are getting service updates and feature updates to your car over the air as you would like your phone, for instance. And things like this that could be just an update given to the car release your grasp on that vehicle. So let's say if you want to keep driving your car, but Ford all of a sudden says, hey, this car is no longer valid, or it's a safety hazard or whatever, they can just send an update to brick it, potentially. That's a very, very hard example of that, but it's ultimately what might happen, right? And just them being able to do this, to be able to have an over-the-air update that could potentially be something like this, where they go and pop up a billboard advertisement on your screen, some kind of tamper with whatever the car would normally be doing, is quite concerning, because as we also see, this is just one example, but it's a pretty prevalent one about how this could potentially work. And this is, I think, the Ford Mach-E example on this screen type of thing. So, for instance, the reason it's concerned is because Tesla, if we go to them real quick, has also been doing things like that with a bunch of their cars where they're kind of removing features, if you will, like heated seats and stuff, and replacing them with subscriptions. And we've seen this for a couple other vehicles, like a couple BMWs and Audis were trying to do this as well. Basically making cars more like a service than actual products. We see this a lot with software and stuff, but now it's sort of coming to cars, and Tesla's one of the first to actually do it. Let's look at the Model Y at the moment. Let's scroll down. So, for instance, the heated seats, third row, that kind of stuff. If you go to the buying page, there's always potential for issues. There's always potential for things to go wrong, but this is more of a hands-on electronic approach to buying cars. It's no longer, I'm going to buy this car and going to be able to repair it and stuff. It's more of, am I going to be able to use this car how I want to use this car without things, interrupting it. So let's just go here. Let's do long range, yep, sure. Paint, wheels and stuff. Interior seat layout is fine. Self-driving capabilities are now $10,000. Autopilot, auto lane change, auto park, summon, full self-driving computer, traffic light and stop, auto steering, active, yeah. So let's just add that. But they're, testing certain other features. So what I really worry about this is the fact that these cars are eventually going to become services. You're eventually, and there actually already is, sorry if this is a bit over the place, I'm just trying to get my thoughts out here. There already is kind of things like that. And the main point I'm trying to get across is that when you don't own these cars, the sort of mentality changes drastically between what you actually own and what you don't own. So, like, I think there's a Volvo rental car, I don't quite remember what it's called, XC40, XC90, there's some type of, there's a couple Volvo models that have this kind of renting, not from third parties, but from like official, I don't remember what the name of it might not be a Volvo, but there's a couple cars that you can like officially rent now, which is kind of weird, but basically it's the combination of being able to have advertisements like this stick onto things, having a drastic change like this be able to be done through the air, removing features like heated seats and self-driving and cameras and certain features, even if they're already in the car based on a subscription. That's again typically done through the mechanic, the like computer of the car, and then being able to rent your car. These three things are really big because they're saying that you can have updates affect your actual functionality of the car and eventually not even need to own a car to do that. And so these three things are really happening over the course of a couple of years now, right? This thing was recent in 2021. This started happening again this year, and this has been going on for a couple of like a year or two now, but they're all testing the waters, right? And other things like self-driving cars and stuff, obviously, but those are more meant to be services, right? Like if you have a self-driving car and you're kind of like part of your car, I guess, like the Teslas do, that's fine. But I think fully self-driving, where you're not going to actually do, those are more like Uber services type of thing. And that makes sense, right? That's a natural evolution of where that would go. But I'm talking about like the normal car buying process isn't going to be, this is my car. It's going to be, this is my box. I'm going to go add stuff to this box, but it's still going to be as expensive. And you don't really own it, right? There's not a lot you can own and mechanically change about the car. And things like this kind of prove it, right? If they're going to do this, they're going to do other things. And I think that's really the point I want to get across, is that we're going to a future where we eventually will not own our cars. We won't own the mechanics behind our cars. We won't own the features of our cars. We won't own the long-term just parts of our car. Our car will be a thing that, like leasing, we renew every couple years and we forget about it. And it's already starting, right? Leasing is very popular. Now, it's not the only way to buy a car, but while we're moving towards this this future, especially with EVs, that's another thing, especially with electric vehicles. I think one of the important, interesting factors was I saw Unbox Therapy had on his podcast was talking about sort of the EV scene, because they both he has a Tesla model whatever, but that electric cars are very like not mechanically driven. Like if you look at this page, right, and I go like the Model S, if you go to a different page, like if I go to Volvo, you'll see a lot more mechanics talked about. You'll see a lot more car features sort of introduced. Yeah, the XC40 recharge thing. I think this was the one you can rent. But yeah, like the electric one, it's okay, you have a trunk and stuff. But if you look at the... Interesting, they don't have... Where's all the other cars? You can really see it happening where all these cars are trying to remove the whole gas-powered. But if you look at like a Tesla, right, there's not a lot of information about the actual mechanics of the car. You have this screenshot of the interior with the new redesigned steering wheel and stuff. You have this screenshot where you can play The Witcher for some reason. You have all these like stay connected, best audio system, bicycle stuff. But there's not a lot of... This is the only picture of the insides of it. And as you can see, it's pretty bare, right? There's an engine and another engine and a couple wheels and the battery bank. And so it's very toy-like in a way, where it's almost like you're not supposed to do anything with it. It's just, here's the car and here's where it's going. And especially with everyone trying to move, as you can see, Volvo here, which hasn't made a pledge to be all electric, like a bunch of other companies like Audi, I think, and some others have. But as you can see, their layout has changed. It's electric cars, hybrid cars, and other cars. And their hybrid cars are just recharge versions that are literally $20,000 more expensive, as you can see. And they're just kind of weird. So like the S60, right? It's a normal sedan or whatever. You're seeing a bunch of the modeling work. this kind of standard interior, right? They're showing more car features as like mechanical, right? And obviously it's a luxury site, so they're probably not trying to convey that, but it's just sort of like the messaging, right? Tesla's messaging is, don't worry about the car, you'll take it into a mechanic and they'll spend like 7 years to fix it. Everyone else really doesn't have that. But that's basically what I want to talk about. Leave your comments down below on what you think is going to really be the future of cars. I do believe that it's eventually going to become more of a service like that. I have another video out soon about the xCloud, how I think about the xCloud. I have a headphone review coming out. I have a couple other bigger projects I want to work on. But yeah, so if you want to see more of this kind of discussion content, make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. I will see everyone in the next video.